We've got a live audience today. Pretty excited. I am your host for the afternoon, Matt Seevers, the Associate Dean. Let me start by kind of setting up what this event is all about, just to be serious for a brief moment. The purpose of today is to provide each of you with some exposure and basic information about each of the academic majors available to students in the Heider College. The aim of the curriculum, as we've set it up, is to expose you to courses in a variety of different areas of business, whether it's accounting, BIA, economics, finance, law, management, etc. And one of the reasons for this design is to give you a good, solid foundation in the different functions and disciplines of business. We want you to be not just an accountant, but we want you to be a well-trained accountant who understands all the different aspects of business and how they fit together. And that applies to an economist, a marketer, etc. Your experience in the Magis Core, it also gives you this broad sense of how business fits together in society, how it all works together. Another reason for this exposure to many areas is you get a chance to test drive different fields and different business functions and what it might be like to dig a little deeper in that area or to major in that area and to pursue a career in that area. So when you take a class like BIA 253, you're getting a sense of what the BIA major might be like. And when you take Marketing 319, Principles of Marketing, you're getting a test drive of the marketing major. So each of these classes provides you an opportunity to reflect on that experience and to think about things like, is this an area of strength for me? Is this an area that I'm just not interested in, or it's an area of weakness for me? Do I have confidence when I talk about topics in this particular business function? Does it fit with my interests and passions? Ultimately, this process is about experience and about reflection, and it can lead us on a path to discernment, which is something that we value a lot when we think about the paths that we might take in our life. Discernment might ask you to think of questions like, am I being called into this profession? Or could this be my lifelong vocation? Might this career path allow me to make a difference in the world? Is this path the best way for me to serve others? So with that said, what we're hoping to do today is to give you an overview and perhaps a preview of the different academic paths available and to aid your process of discernment in choosing a major. And of course, we want to have a lot of fun in the process. So with that, I'd like to turn it over to our producers, Charisse and Caitlin in the booth.
Thank you, Dr. Seevers. All right, so welcome to our quick pitch round. Our contestants, aka professors, are ready to wow you with their majors. Here's how this round works. The basic information for each major is provided in your digital booklet, which can be accessed via the QR code on your screen. Don't worry, this QR code will appear on every major screen as well, so if you don't get it now, you can always download it later. Each major slide will also be displayed on the screen during their corresponding pitch.
Professor has 6 minutes to expand on this information and tell you all about the skills, values, and interests of their students. If they finish within the time allowed, they ring the bell and get the happy music. If not, they get the dreaded and are ineligible for the showcase prize.
Remember that each major will have a table later for you to ask questions, so be sure to write them down or save them for your tabling round. Dr. Seevers, back to you.
Thanks, Caitlin. And let's kick things off with our first major of the day. All right, who will it be? Let's spin the wheel to find out.
All right, random. Declan McGill, come on down.
Spin the wheel to decide where we start, and after that, we'll go in alphabetical order of the different majors.
Woo!
Dr. Taylor, come on up.
Dr. Taylor. Woo!
Management 271. I'm not loud enough. Oh, okay. Management 271, which is more of a survey course where you'll learn about leadership, teams, well, not so much leadership anymore, but teams, motivation, culture, structure, all of those kind of human resources aspects, I guess, that make organizations run. And then in Management 371, that's where you actually get to practice leadership skills. And so you'll do things like negotiation, and you'll do role play and practice actually all the things that you'll learn in Management 271. So majors management, you see that's broken up into different tracks. So there's a business ethics track, entrepreneurship track, where that's social entrepreneurship and bioscience, but I don't believe we have very many bioscience majors, if any, at all. HR, and then pre-law. And then lots of students who major in human or in management go on to get MBAs, so a general master's in business administration, or they go on to law school. Various students organizations, including CASE, so the Collegiate Alliance of Social Entrepreneurs, mock trial, and then another one we have that's not listed is SHRM, Society of Human Resource Managers, where you can get deeper skills on being a human resource professional. Internships in business analytic, or being a business analyst, entrepreneurship, HR, or project account intern. Full-time jobs would be in human resources as an associate, management development programs, sales executive or entrepreneur. And then people who have majored in management have gone on to work for the Business Ethics Alliance, which is actually here in the Harper Center on the 3rd floor, LinkedIn, the U.S. Army, or TD Ameritrade. So there's lots of great opportunities for a person who wants to major in management, and I'm happy to talk to you about what that looks like if you're interested.
Yay.
Dr. Taylor, it sounds like the management professor managed her time quite well. Buckle up. All right, Whitney, who is our next contestant?
Our next major will be international business. Sharice Williams, come on down.
I kind of drew the short straw on this one, folks, so I'm going to try and give you my overview. I usually do. I ask that my faculty members, if you have anything to add, to please jump in. So international business is a major here in the Heider College of Business. Oftentimes, I think us as a college and advisors overall will recommend that you pair your international business major with another major. And the reason for that is because international business is very broad, right? When we talk about finance, you take a bunch of finance classes. When we talk about management, human resource, or entrepreneurship, you take a bunch of those courses on that specific area. For international business, you take a little bit of everything. You take an international accounting, international finance, international management, international marketing. It's like one of everything in the functions of business, although we don't have an international BIA yet. So typically, in my experience over the years, and maybe Caitlin up in the booth can chime in on this, in my experience with our international business majors, I find that most of them who pair it with that second major have a solid foundation in that second major. And then when they go on to find internships or job opportunities, they use that second major to boost themselves for the opportunity to go work for either a company that has international locations, or maybe years ago we had a student who studied abroad in, I don't know where he studied abroad, but it was a Spanish-speaking country. And then he worked for ConAgra, and ConAgra said, hey, we're looking at some businesses or some operations in Puerto Rico. We know you don't speak a lot of Spanish, don't have to be fluent, but you are bomb at doing this financial analysis stuff. So we want you to go with our finance team and go check out the markets down there in Puerto Rico, okay? Dr. Olson, who teaches one of our finance classes, a couple of them, financial modeling, he has worked abroad. I don't know if any of you attended did we have an international business workshop for Business Symposium this year? Did anybody go for that? A couple years ago, we had a great panel, and every one of the panelists said, you get to work internationally because you're interested in global business, because you have some sort of good foundation in an area, whether that is management or economics or finance, and you show interest. You say yes, right? That's a big deal. Our dean's big on that. Say, yeah, I'll try that. I'll do that. I'll do that group project and have the opportunity to go study abroad. So international business requires you to study abroad for that major. Anyone can study abroad, but international business majors have to. It's very broad in what we have up here because international business is kind of broad. So if that's what you want to do, get to know another culture or various cultures. Maybe start a language. Meet some international friends. Go over to where the international students hang out and go have lunch or something like that, honest. Keep up your business work, find your solid area, and kind of have your international business like gravy. It's a gravy major, right? Anything on top of it is good.
Oh. It's like I want to see a countdown of the clock on the screen. But fortunately for Charisse, being brief and yet thorough is not a foreign concept. Kinda? International business? Okay. They're not going to get better, I have to say. They're only getting worse.
I think they're great, Dr. Seevers. Dr. Barker.
So with that, I'll turn it back over to Whitney. Whitney, who is our next contestant?
Our next major is accounting, which means Maggie Knight, come on down.
I'm going to try to time myself because, Lord knows, I could talk for a long time. Okay, so I thought who better to take some business advice from than Mr. Warren Buffett, so I stole one of his quotes. He came to speak at university and he said, people ask me what they should take in business school, and I tell them you have to understand accounting. It's the language of business. It's like being in a foreign country without knowing the language if you're in business and you don't understand accounting. Right? And he went on to talk about how he attributes a lot of his business savvy to that accounting education. And so that's really what I want one of your takeaways to be from today, is that accounting is way more broad than what we convey to you in 201 and 202, right? It's a great business discipline on its own. It's got a bunch of career paths that you can do with it, but it's also just a really solid background in the rules of business, right, that you can apply to a bunch of other disciplines. So even at the symposium a couple weeks ago, a person on our panel had this great finance job. He's a Creighton grad, a couple years out, and one of the things he said explicitly is, I wish I had studied more accounting. So you can do it on its own, or you can do it in conjunction with something else, and either way, it's that foundational background. So I brought a couple of other quotes. I've got Jeanette Wadalevich is a person that I've worked with for a lot of years, and she's currently the interim CEO of CHI Health, but she's worked a lot of years as their CFO. And we were talking about accounting. Her quote was, I've never worked a day as an accountant, but it's the background I used to make me a successful director of finance and a successful CFO. And we had sort of similar career paths for the first quite a while of our careers with public accounting and then directors of finance and CFOs. And we always joked that we're both CPAs that have never done a journal entry on a job in our lives, right? But we both attribute that background to our success. And that's not uncommon. That's why, you've got 45% of CFOs actually have CPA backgrounds, because it's just kind of a broad knowledge. So hopefully that's helpful. Same thing. We've got an alum who's really a proponent of the background, who's a CEO at Great Plains, and just said, his comments were about how forecasting and planning and capital allocation are such a big aspect of his job that make his accounting knowledge essential. So it's different than what you think. So it can be standalone or applied. I tried to put on the slide back here some jobs, but it's scratching the surface because these are just the ones that people take when they first get out of college. This is often to get maybe that CPA credential, but then they go on to do just a wide variety of things. A couple of programs on here I wanted to point out. There's some internships. There's also a full-time internship program. So if you want to go and be really immersed in a public accounting experience for an entire busy season, you can do that, and you can maintain full-time student status while you do that. There's a certain classes that we have you take that preserve your status, and so that's a newer program. If you have questions, we can talk about that at the table in the back. The other thing is we've got a couple of different paths to get to a master's degree, particularly the Master's of Accounting. So to sit for the CPA exam, you're going to have 150 college credits. But you only need 128 to get your undergrad here at Creighton. So with those extra credits you have to earn to be CPA exam eligible, a lot of people are trying to turn that into an additional degree, kind of make those credits work for them. There's a few different options that you can use to do that here at Creighton. So you can see kind of at the top, we've got the traditional Masters of Accounting program where you stay for a 5th year while you complete that program and get to 150 hours. But a more recent, newer program is actually the accelerated version of that, where you're completing that master's degree while you're in your 4th year. So that senior year, you're actually completing master's level coursework so that when you walk out of here at the end of 4, you're actually having your undergraduate degree and your graduate degree kind of at the same time. I always joke that, like walk at graduation twice. And so if you're coming in with some credits, that might be an option to really efficiently kind of earn 2 degrees at once. And then along with both, this is like the infomercial. That's not all, people. In addition to those graduate options, you can see with the double stars, it says we've layered in this option to get an analytics certificate, a graduate level analytics certificate while you complete those, because I'm sure what you hear as things progress with these presentations is that, analytics is becoming a part of every discipline. It truly is. And so the people who are reaching out for our students in accounting love it if we've upskilled them and they've got some of that tool set. And so this is a way to get those additional skills that employers are looking for while completing that graduate work, regardless of which path to completing that graduate work that you choose. We've even got like a 4.5-year option. So if you have questions about any of that, I'm happy to answer those questions or any other ones that you have at the table at the back. I think I made it. Whew.
Dr. Knight, I feared that would be taxing. But I failed to account for what an entertaining speaker you are. Whitney, who is our next victim?
There's that wah, 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 wah.
I really do. This is like my favorite part of the day so far. All right, our next major is BIA. Greg Dyke, come on down.
Thank you very much. Well, I'll tell you one thing that happens is I'd like to take all the other majors. They sound pretty interesting. BIA is a little different in my mind. One of the things you have to understand is what is it, right? Why would you take it? I want to teach a couple of things to help you out with that. Number one, mistakes only happen for 2 reasons. They happen for lack of knowledge or lack of attention. Well, if you think about that, then we think about what's AI. They say it's artificial intelligence. It's the furthest thing from that. It's actually advanced pattern matching. It helps us pay attention, and it helps us know what's so broad that we can't understand. So you need the other majors. You need accounting knowledge to help use it. But with those 2 tools, we can avoid mistakes. And what do mistakes mean? Well, for 2 examples, Johns Hopkins says about 250,000 people died in 2016 because of medical mistakes. The National Safety Council says that 4.8 million people were seriously injured on the roads in 2020, costing us about $470 billion as a society. So there's a lot of help there. And one of the things I like to tease is that the data's out there. If you've seen X-Files, the data's out there. We just need help understanding what it means. So if you're curious about that, if the puzzle is something that draws you in, then BIA teaches you the tools to understand the puzzle, the tools to go find the data. And you can really help people. So if you got to pick a fight, and the fight is going to help keep some of these mistakes from happening, help us understand the data that's being poured on us faster than we can understand, that's where BIA comes in. And It stands for Business Intelligence and Analytics, but that's hard to grasp, actually. We need a better title. Don't we have marketing? Could help with that, maybe? Some people are afraid of it because they're like, oh, do I have to program, or what's these tools mean? Trust me, we specialize in those kind of people. That will not be a problem. You don't really have to program at a level that's going to be confusing. I handle the 253 class, which is the intro to the program, and we get very excited about people that think they don't know or think they're afraid of it. You'll walk out of there with confidence to keep going. So whether you do BIA as a major or one of the other majors, which sound awesome, you need some analytical tools, like they said. And if you want to tilt over and really go into the analytic tools, then that's the track for you. And the majors they show here are really just, I think it was already mentioned, it's just a small subset of what's possible. You think about program managers, people responsible for different apps or different programs. They're going to need analytics in almost every walks of life. And we have a lot of fun in class. So not to be too short, I'll save you some time, but we'll have the table outside. I'd really like to talk to you. If you're curious but maybe a little nervous, then we need to chat. And I'll hit the button.
Professor Dyke is programmed for success. Can I try another?
Absolutely.
I really thought Professor Dyke's block was off the chain. Can we say that? Is that the worst one you've ever heard?
That's the best one I've ever heard.
I thought it was the worst.
I'm going to cross-stitch that onto a pillow for you.
Fantastic. Whitney, who's next?
All right, our next major is economics. Colin O'Reilly, come on down.
All right, thank you all for coming. Economics here, as you can see, not only a major, but also a minor. So you can major in economics, right? Only 18 credits, right? A little bit less than some of your other majors out there. So it's not a bad major to pair up with a second major. You could double major in econ, right? Or if you try it out, say, hey, the full major isn't for me, you can do the minor as well. What is economics? Yes, we're here in the business school, right? But economics, probably more than most disciplines in the business school, has got a foot in social sciences and a foot in the business school, right? And so you get to ask some questions that you might see in sociology or political science, right? Some questions you might see in finance or in management, right? But you get to approach those with some of the extra analytical rigor of economics that you might not see in just your College of Arts and Sciences classes. So you get a little bit more maybe mathematical background, a little bit more sort of logical rigor to it, which I think is nice. You get a foot in both worlds. And that can help you out for a variety of careers, right? I think that's one of the things that is both an upside and a downside for economics. It's very open-ended, right? It's a little bit harder to say, hey, I've got my econ degree. What is the specific job I'm going to get? That's an upside and a downside. You get a whole wide range of careers that you could go into, right? But for some people, that's a little bit scary. So an upside and a downside there, right? All that extra logic there prepares you well for law school. Economics majors score very high on the LSAT on average, right? Prepares you to do some research, which might be really helpful for graduate school or a career in consulting. So you got lots of different potential careers, and that can be a little bit intimidating because it's not as specific, but it can keep the door open for you for a lot of different potential opportunities. Those opportunities might be a position in policy and government, might be a position in the private sector, in finance, in accounting, and insurance, something related to that, right? And as I said, graduate school, that could mean law school. Folks do well on the LSAT. Graduate school in economics, or prepare you for an MBA. In addition to that, we get to ask all sorts of really interesting questions. Why is it that some countries are rich? Why is it that some countries are poor? Why is it that on average, women earn less than men? Why is it that data can help us understand the world? What is it that causes recessions? All these are really big picture questions. And again, we can bring some analytical rigor to answering those really important real world questions while still training you for a career. Thank you very much.
Dr. O'Reilly, even though time was in short supply, you met the demands of the day. Thank you. All right, Whitney. Anybody left? Anybody?
Our next major is finance. Lee Dunham, come on down.
I'm really scared of the joke afterwards, so I may go the full 6 minutes. Just kidding. Hi, everybody. I am Lee Dunham. I'm the chair of the Econ and Finance Department. How many of you know by show of hands that our finance department is a top 25 finance program, and it's been that way for a while? Raise your hands. We usually rank 14th or 15th, so we're very proud of that. We work really hard to keep that ranking up, but we have 3 tracks in finance. We kind of have a 4th up there. That's the risk and insurance management. It's very niche-y, and we don't have too many students who kind of go down that path. So I'm going to talk about the 3 that we have a lot of students who do, which is the financial analysis, the planning, and the services. The analysis track is by far the most popular. It's the most rigorous as well. And so there are sort of 2 sorts of exams out there that financial professionals take after graduation if they're going to be in the finance profession, particularly in the investing side of the business. So to kind of give you a big picture, finance can be kind of thought of two buckets, like corporate finance and investing. And investing is sort of what you think about people, portfolio management, making day-to-day portfolio decisions for their own savings, managing other people's monies. And then the corporate finance is sort of like going to Union Pacific, ConAgra, and working there in like an analyst job and like working at a Fortune 500 company in a sort of, just a finance role, right? So on the investing side, the analysis track prepares you for really both of those worlds, either working in corporate or working in investing. And the whole curriculum around that around the financial analysis track is around the CFA Chartered Financial Analysis exam. And so that is an exam you would take post college, and it's a really hard set of exams. I'll talk to you about that later. But that is that sort of financial analysis track prepares you for either a career in corporate finance or in investing. All right. So let's stay with that investing bucket for a minute. And there are kind of in that bucket there are 2 ways to sort of the two career paths. Do you want to be someone who's like the quarterback and is client facing and meeting people and telling them it's going to be okay when the stock market is down 20 or 30%? That's more of a financial planner. Or do you want to be someone who's more behind the scenes, actually making the investment decisions, like picking the stocks that go in the portfolio, picking the amount of money to invest, that sort of thing? That's more of a behind the scenes role, and that's more of a financial analyst role, right? So that's in the investing side. So the second track up there, the financial planning, is designed for those people who want to be the quarterback of the relationship and managing people's money and being the one really not doing the actual stock picking or the money managing, but they're really there to tell them who to contact for the best insurance and all the different aspects of financial planning. So it's more of a client-facing type of role. That's the financial planning track. And we put you on a path to take the CFP exam, which is the other exam, the Certified Financial Planning exam, after college. The third track up there, the financial services, is sort of a catch-all. It's sort of like the working at like a financial intermediary, like a bank, an insurance company. A lot of our marketing majors take this as a second major because it's like a retail sales type of role. All right? So that's a third path to finance. If you ever wanted to talk about the risk and insurance track, we can. But let's go back to the financial analysis track, which is the rigorous one that we probably spend, I would say, 60% of our majors. That we, like Dr. Knight said about accounting, we have a 4+1. So in your senior year, if you're on that path, you can take 4 classes deliberately, graduate classes, and they'll count toward this Master's of Investment Management degree that we have that you would do in your 5th year. You don't have to be on campus. You can do this at your online and finishing out those other 6 courses in your 5th year while you're working somewhere else, which we want you to do that. We don't have it announced just yet, but it's really close. There'll be a similar 4+1 plan for the financial planning students to roll over to get a Master's of Financial Planning and Financial Psychology, soon to be announced. So you have 2 paths to get 2 degrees, like accounting, both take 5 years, but you don't have to be here for the 5th year. I think that's it. I'll take questions at the end on the finance major. Oh, you gonna do it? Save the two jokes. We got one. So, what about fintech? We have this new major called fintech. So it started in fall of 2019. We have over 70 majors. Why is it so popular? Everybody before me talked to you about almost importance of data in business decision making, whether it be accounting data, traffic data, whatever. In the last few years, most of our students who are going out as finance majors in recent years are saying, look, I've got two people sitting in front of me who I'm going to hire. I got one who's a nice, great finance major from Creighton, but I've got this other student who's a finance major, and he or she's got 4 or 5 tech classes who can actually learn how to manage data and make better decisions with it. Who am I going to hire? It's a no-brainer. They're going to pick the person who's got both pieces and not just the finance piece. So we deliberately thought, we need to increase the rigor of our finance major and offer an opportunity. Not everybody wants to be a programmer, as Greg said. That's true. And if you want to be in a fintech major, you're not going to be a 40-hour-a-week coder. We have computer science majors for that. But we definitely need you to want to be able to at least think about coding, at least think about sort of sketching out a solution to a business problem that goes beyond your discipline knowledge, which means maybe just a little bit of coding, a little bit of R, a little bit of Python, right? So this new major will take you on the career paths, or let's say careers, that are kind of just really wide swath. Is Garrett here by chance yet? He's not here. So Garrett's going to be at the table later today. Garrett's a senior, and he's working at First National Bank in a blockchain internship. And it's working at a bank here in Omaha, First National Bank. It's this old, stodgy bank that's 100-plus years old. And yet he's working in an innovation group that's working on a project, and I'll spare you the details, basically trying to blockchain cattle to make them worth more to the ranchers who raise them. And that's in a bank here in Omaha. Or going over to Mutual of Omaha, and they're working on innovative risk products to try to change the way they sell insurance instead of someone selling it to you from a local office, right? And so we have people interning at PayPal, Fiserv, other places. We have a PayPal operations out Southwest Omaha, if you're not aware, and other just a very different group of jobs. But what it does open for you is jobs that probably are not things that you're used to seeing, because it's a lot of innovation stuff. But it's also to me, it's very interesting and cool. So you can be doing stuff, and usually the more innovative it is, the less other people are doing it, which makes you more in demand. And that's kind of been true about our majors and their opportunities for internships between finance and fintech. The fintech ones are a little more wide-ranging because they've got just a little more skill set. But both majors are both attractive to the right. It just depends on your, really what it comes down to is your temperament for wanting to understand and work with technology, to add that to the finance major. I'll take your questions at the end.
Well done, Dr. Dunham. He is money in the bank. We could go on and on with finance. I feel like there's a lot of low-hanging fruit. Whitney, who's next?
Our next major and our last major is marketing. Dr. Seevers, come on down. You're welcome.
So I want to kind of start with what you think about marketing, or what you might, not accurately perceive about marketing. A lot of people, when they think about it, they first go to advertising, or perhaps sales as sort of the heart of what marketing is all about. And those are two important parts of the broader marketing process. But what I would tell you is that's not really where it starts at all. Marketing is fundamentally about a brand connecting with customers. It's about building relationships between an organization and people, be they customers, prospective customers, suppliers, vendors. It's outward looking. And so it's very powerful. So If advertising doesn't appeal to you, if sales doesn't appeal to you, just know there are all sorts of interesting paths available to you within the world of marketing. So let me just give you some examples of common pathways within the field. Branding, all right, product development, sales management, customer analytics, marketing research, brand management, advertising, public relations, digital media, even retailing. So lots of different ways to go within the marketing field. And naturally, these things can be applied in numerous different industries. You have Creighton graduates all over the country, all over the world, that are in marketing roles in healthcare, or they might be in the transportation industry, or they might work in government roles. We have people that work in sports. I have had probably a half a dozen advisees of mine go on to work for Nike. I've had students that have gone on to work for Adidas and Under Armour. So we send students in all sorts of places. I want to point out that there is a singular marketing major, but there are two specializations within the major. There's one that we call strategic communications, and this is aimed to appeal to the student who might be more interested in sort of the creative and the promotional side of the field. So you'll take courses in advertising and public relations. You can take courses in digital and social media, sales, sports and event planning, those sorts of things. The other specialization is customer analytics. And this is geared towards the student who has a strong interest in marketing, but might also have an interest in areas like BIA or in statistics or programming. And so this is something of a blend between marketing and BIA is kind of the way to think about it. I also want to mention Kingfisher concentration. So for those of you that are in the Heider Mindset curriculum because you matriculated in the fall of 2020 or this fall that we're currently in, for those of you thinking about a marketing major and you might want to pick a Kingfisher concentration that matches pretty well, you have all sorts of options. You could do things like graphic design. That would be a nice complementary fit. Journalism, psychology, data science, computer science, lots of different ways. I've had many marketing majors that have also double majored or perhaps minored in a language, and they've found that to be very beneficial as they've gone out into their professional lives. Looking at graduate school, MBA is still perhaps the most common pathway for a marketing graduate if they want to go on to graduate school. But there are now specialized masters around the country in things like just a master's of marketing that's going to go much more in depth than a typical MBA would on the field of marketing, or a master's of marketing research or marketing analytics. So these are increasingly common as specialized master's opportunities. And you can see all sorts of different types of internship roles, full-time jobs, companies that our students have gone on to work for. So I will be very happy to answer any questions you might have at the end of today.
It's a new set of dishes.
All right, so let's, I think we've gotten through all of our contestants. Is that right, Whitney?
That's right.
All right, so let's give a round of applause to all the professors who came up to describe their majors. All right, so now it's time for the showcase. Students, it's your turn to decide who wins the prize. Who was the most engaging of our contestants today? And you can vote now at the Poll Everywhere site above.
Dr. Dunham, are you going to win again?
Dr. Dunham is our defending champion.
A lot of tension in the air. Oh. Votes are coming in. Oh. Dr. O'Reilly. Oh, there we go. Come on, marketing.
We'll We'll get some thinking music here for everybody. Is that the wrong game show?
I should be calling a horse race here.
I know we have about 80 students in the crowd, so keep voting if you are working on it. But if we get too much of a stagnation, we'll call it. Oh, it's telling us our poll is full and no longer accepting responses. Interesting. Well, in that case, congratulations, Dr. Maggie Knight.
All right, Dr. Knight. Most engaging professor. Let's hear it for Dr. Knight and the accountants.
And Dr. Knight, you will receive an additional prize at a later date in front of your faculty member peers. So get excited for that. Get some good recognition.
All right, Caitlin, tell our students what's next.
All right. So thank you all for participating in our quick pitch round. Faculty, thank you again. You are welcome to head on up to our tabling and get ready to receive our students with their questions. Your seniors or upperclassmen who are here to help you should also be arriving at this time. Our second round is the tabling round. So this is an open time for students to meet with our faculty, ask questions, and talk with students about their major. So again, you'll have upperclassmen students around to ask their perspective of as well. There are plenty of things to be discussed after these wonderful pitches, so don't be shy. We'll also have some additional tables that you see here on the screen as well to assist you. So stop by and make an advising appointment. You can ask questions of our 3 amazing peer advisors and even declare your major or learn how to do that today. We also will have some refreshments of some cookies, popcorn, guava punch. Stay in your seat for a second. We've got one thing that we'll do before we head out. Hey, everybody, stay put for a second. We do also have some fun Price is Right games for you to play as well. So there are some games with some prizes that you can win, including 2 showcase prizes that you can enter to win. Both are prizes from the IJ. While we give our professors a little bit of time to get settled, we're going to do a couple quick FAQs while we have some folks in the room. So you may indeed win a prize and get to come on down if you would like to ask a question of our advisors who are in the room. So we'll turn it back over to Whitney. She'll call folks down if they've got questions.
Questions? Who's got a question? Come on down.
Just wondering about the study abroad program and for the international business. More information on that, really, and when I should start applying in terms.
When you should start applying for your major, or when you should start applying to go abroad?
Both.
Okay.
Tackle that?
Yeah, absolutely. So the best time to go, you can go sit back down, honey. Oh, you do get a cool shirt, though. Yeah. All right, so the best time to go abroad is either second semester of sophomore year or first semester of junior year. And I know that some of you are maybe already in your sophomore year and you might be thinking, gosh, I'm not ready to go abroad next semester. And that's probably because COVID set us back a little bit, right? So we're trying to be as accommodating as we can. But second semester, sophomore year, or first semester, junior year are really good times to go abroad. Studying abroad takes about a year to plan, okay? Because there's a lot of paperwork in it. What country are you going to go to? What school are you going to go to? We don't know what classes they're going to offer. So I like to tell people to start planning for your study abroad about a year in advance, okay? So if you want to go second semester sophomore year, you need to start planning about second semester freshman year. For those of you who are sophomores now, start planning going abroad now, okay? You're kind of losing your runway time. So the best way to plan going abroad is to go to the Global Engagement Office. They have walk-in hours every Monday, Wednesday, and Tuesday, Thursday, and you don't have to make an appointment. You can just show up and tell them you want to go abroad, and they will take it from there. When to declare your major? Was that the second question? Okay, so when to declare your major? There is no official deadline for when you have to declare a major. There is no hard cutoff. Usually we see it around the end of sophomore year, halfway through junior year, because you've gotten through some of those introductory classes. I talk to a lot of students who want to be finance majors, but they've never taken a finance class yet. So if you want to wait a little bit till you get through that introductory class, that's completely fine. There does come a point, though, that we start to run out of Magis Core and Business Core options. So start thinking about it like end of sophomore year, halfway through junior year, if you haven't yet.
That, Whitney?
Of course.
Some majors, depending on what they are easier to add late, and some are really difficult to add late. Like my sense is, I'm not an accounting professor, but I think it would be really hard to add an accounting major like late in your junior year. Is that fair? Yeah. And so that's something to think about. International business, I think, would be another one of those. That would be really hard to just wake up late in your junior year and go, I want to be an international business major, because you do need to study abroad and you do need to take language courses. So if you're thinking about that path, it's probably more important that you're thinking about study abroad and language now, because you can always declare it later or not. You might have a study abroad experience and never become an international business major. Yeah, good question.
What's the question, Dr. Seevers?
I think your question is basically, if accounting is something that's hard to add late, and maybe international business too, what about finance and BIA? Let's see, who do we have in the room? I don't have a BIA person in the room or a finance. I have worked with advisees who have, let's say they're marketing students, who have added finance late in their junior year and been able to finish. I would think you could probably do the same with BIA. What do you think, Whitney?
Well, I like to think of it as how many classes are in this major, right? So finance and BIA are both 21 credit hour majors, which means you're looking at 7 classes. So if you don't know you want to do a finance major until like second semester junior year, you've got 2 semesters to do 7 finance courses. So you're looking at 4 finance courses in one semester and 3 in the other. And I've seen it done. But if you can give yourself more time to do it, like why wouldn't you, right? Okay, so BIA is a good major to start early because most of you are taking BIA 253 as sophomores, right? So once you get through 253, you can go ahead and start some of those major classes, right? So think about it as how many semesters can I give myself to do this major? But know that there's really only one major you can't do in a year, and it's accounting.
Fantastic. I think with that, we'll transition to our tabling round. Our seniors, you can probably hear them buzzing up there. They're excited to meet you. Let's give one more round of applause to our lovely hosts, especially Dr. Matt Seevers, and Whitney and Cherise. Thank you guys for joining us. Make sure that you come up, play some games, enter the showcase, grab some snacks, and talk to some upperclassmen. If you haven't gotten your HMAT points, get your HMAT points. Also important for this day. Did you learn something? Yeah, love it. That's the whole point, right? Now you can be that much more confident going into registration. We know what classes we're looking at.